Hey, it's Steve King, Q1057 Afternoon Guy, and have the opportunity to talk to legendary son of legendary drummer John Bonham, Jason Bonham. Jason, I've had the opportunity to see the Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin Experience before you changed it to evening, and I have to say, an amazing tribute to Led Zeppelin, and even more so, an amazing tribute to your father.
Thank you very much. That's what I was going for, so that's good.
That's good. You're getting it across.
As I say, it's, I never imagined it being the one of the main things I do, but it got a life of its own after I've been doing this for 9 years.
Wow.
So it kind of, and I always said we haven't kind of over-toured it. We're not like 100 shows a year.
Right.
Sometimes we only do 25 shows. But it was this is the third year in a row that suddenly it's been put out in an environment where we're out on another, with another act, and
Sure.
going out and playing sheds, and that's what I never imagined it be going on at 7:30, and in daylight, without all the, the home movies and without all of that, to actually get just to be playing the music, and the response we get is just phenomenal. So it's amazing.
So how does it change? Now, you mentioned the home movies and stuff, because when I saw it, it was just your tour, and now you've been out with Foreigner before, you've been out with several people, and now with Peter Frampton. How is the show different compared to the shows you were doing on your own?
Now we have to rely just on us playing.
Yeah.
There's no sugarcoating it with a nice home movie, because we're in daylight and there isn't any screens on this tour. So yeah, this was always a worry for me, but within the first 2 minutes of an opening song, you're playing into a full house, which is just beyond my wildest dreams. To be playing this, which literally started as a fun band, 9 years ago, to be getting this kind of reaction. And as I said, we're paying tribute to my father and some of the greatest music ever written. So it's the music really that does. I always say it's not just us. The music really stands itself. As Peter Frampton said to me, "You've got a good set list. Let's say you've got some good music to choose from." So people love it, and it's in a live situation. And as I said, it's a beautiful evening. It works.
Yeah, without question. Do you change up the set list? I mean, you must know, maybe not the entire catalog, but I'm sure you know a lot of the Led Zeppelin catalog. Do you pick and choose as the nights go on, or is it kind of set?
It's changed from the opening night to now. We've changed things around. Occasionally, I feel I'd like to do more obscure ones.
Right.
But you find if you try that with an audience that's not your show, and then the next night you try one of the main ones, you see why we should keep the main ones in the show. As I said, you look at the set list and you go, okay, so say if you do a Ramble On, Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Whole Lot of Love, Stairway to Heaven, and throw in Over the Hills, Far Away, Immigrant Song, Good Times, Bad Times, what is and what should never be. That's you can't seem to go wrong with anything like that. So,
that's a hell of a show.
Yeah, so there's a few in there, and that's missing out still quite a few that
Absolutely.
So it always depends on the night, and depends how if I'm in one of those strophulous moods to change the set in front of the guys at the last minute, and which we've done. Obviously, I'd love to be able to throw Kashmir in there, but Zeppelin didn't write very short songs. A lot of them weren't that short. So
True.
You put in Stairway and Kashmir, there's 20 minutes, 25 minutes just there.
There's the 3/4 of your set.
Yeah.
When it comes to your particular drumming style, do you think you are similar or different from your dad?
I don't think that anyone's like Dad.
Well,
I like to think that there's some part of me that is similar. I try I don't try. I tend to try and just stick to the script on the shows. But more of the script that I've known, like the live dad from playing, the live albums and the bootlegs that I have. When it was a little busier than the album, let's just say he was going for it a lot more, and that's the thing I try to put into the show. It's that but there are the key fills. There's certain fills I think that have to be there, just like a guitar part, because his drumming was so identifiable. So there's, it's amazing how the audience, you go da 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 da, don't get that, and people just know, or you play the intro to Levy Break, people know.
Oh yeah.
Even the simple drum parts of the Rover, people know what's coming after that. The start of rock and roll, people know. So yeah, there's every time I come to the start of rock and roll, I must say I get that. Don't screw this up. It's so iconic, and the worst is when you think that way, you're bound to do something. So,
I know several drummers, and I always ask them, I say, what's the hardest song you have to play in your set list? And if rock and roll is in there, they're like, oh my God, it always comes at the end of our set list. I'm already exhausted, and that song is exhausting to play. And then it's a real bear to play anyway.
Yeah, it is. I mean, people say to me, what's the hardest song to play? And I go, play correctly is rock and roll. And it's not just because of the end. It's because it's actually 16 notes on the snare drum throughout the song, but you don't kind of hear it as loud as it would. But it's there. And it's just, that's the one thing. I remember at the O2, I remember I broke a stick at the end of rock and roll.
Oh, did you really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the worst ad for my stick company they could ever ask for. Right, you go rap bum, bat bum, bat bada bum, bat break, and you're like, oh no. Nobody's watching. Don't worry, nobody really cares.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That show was amazing. I have that both on video, and then I've got it, and I listen to that thing all the time. That was such an incredible show. What was it like for you, your experience?
At the time, it was one of those things to remind. I kept reminding myself this just to enjoy it. Don't get trapped into the whole thing of it, because kind of this might never happen again.
Right.
So for me, it was one of the only times that I really it really was a nice long. It didn't feel short. I didn't feel like we were on and off air. I enjoyed every moment, and got into the groove of it. I always said if we could get to Black Dog, and I could tell even at Ramblin' that I started to go for it. So I was feeling okay. And then Black Dog, I started to do some other things that I hadn't done before. So you could tell by that point I was okay. And then I still think one of the best versions for a long time, I love the version of Nobody's Fault But Mine, and In My Time of Dying, and Cashmere, of course.
Yeah, pretty iconic, pretty incredible. And I've heard, Robert Plant talked about that you were one of the main reasons that they agreed to do it, is that they wanted to almost do it for you, right?
Which was, wonderful. As I said, it really, it kind of reinvented me as an artist, or just rejuvenated, me as a person at the time. And, it just, for me, it proved that I've been sober now 18 years, so this was back in 2007. So it was, pretty early on in my sobriety, where at the time when I was told when I was getting sober that to let go of things that were kind of something that would always hinder me. So eventually, when I let go, that happened. When I let go of ever thinking it was ever going to happen, that's when it happened. It was so it was a very special, just to be around them, not just the plane, just to be around them for the 6 weeks. And I went out we went out for dinner a few times together, and I'd spend time with Robert up in the Midlands where we live, and then I'd spend time with Jimmy when I was in London and driving him around. So it was I couldn't ask for a cooler environment to be in. I was now a grown man hanging out with them and not this little kid. But I still felt like the little kid.
Yeah, I'll bet. When you've got monsters of rock like that, some giants there, that has to be at least a little bit intimidating.
It's like a movie. Like when you revert back to that, the camera shot goes back to when you were a kid, and even though you're talking to them and it's many years on, you go revert back to the little kid playing drums behind the set when I'm 11 years old.
I'll bet. Did you, at that point, after that show was over, did you really think that something more was going to happen with the band, or were you kind of maybe not?
I mean, yes. But I was then, in a short time, I was told by Robert himself that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But it was, it was very, very special at that time. And, later on, then, of course, just after Robert said that, I then got the phone call from Jimmy and John Paul, and we started to do some stuff. So that's when, it was writing, to go write, to be in a situation of writing with those two guys was just in another world. I mean, Jimmy turned around at one and said, "Okay, have you got any ideas you want to work on, Jason?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, what?" So, yeah, I mean, that was just so much fun. Just to be in that environment, to still be around them. If anything, when that stopped, that's when I was even more devastated than, the Zeppelin thing stopped. But then when that stopped, at that point I'd left the band, I'd left Foreigner to pursue this even more. And so, just knowing that it wasn't going to happen anymore was kind of a bit tough. So, as I said, what grew from that was, as a manager at the time said, well, why don't you just do this little Zeppelin thing that you're going to do and tribute to your dad and kind of get it out of your system. And as I said, out of one sadness came something that brings so much joy to me and to so many others. When I'm not, when I'm not working with Mr. Hager, of course, and Mr. Anthony in the Circle, which is now 5 years in. So, as I said, people who ask, well, why do you do this? I said, well, I have another job as well. This is my side band. This is a fun band, and then I have my real, that we do with Sam.
Yeah, and I know, aren't you guys getting together, the Circle? Aren't you guys doing some more recording and getting ready to do another tour and that whole deal too?
Literally, I did, before this tour started, I did 30 shows with the Circle, and then we just did 2 more shows the weekend in Seattle and Spokane. Came back to this, and then I've got the beach party coming up and the Sacramento gig, which is right in the middle of all of this. So I literally, one day I fly on the day of show, leave Phoenix from Pete Brampton's tour and go to there, and so I'm keeping busy.
Yeah, you are busy.
We've got more dates in Florida in November, and then back in the studio, and next year another album, another tour, and
that's awesome.
But all I'll say is you can't imagine. For me, when I got the call from Sam, when you go to play in a band where you've actually bought albums from the artist when you were young, it's pretty special to be playing in a band with guys that you went to see us when you were in your teens, that you've got albums that you bought with your own money. I never imagined that in the time. So it's been a very special. I feel very fortunate at 53 to be having more fun than I really should have. And without alcohol, or drugs. I never would have imagined that when I was younger. So it's a win-win. I can't complain. Life's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure your dad is looking down and big smile on his face and happy to see the way you've garnered your success in a career that's been pretty incredible.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you Sunday night. Peter Frampton, one of my favorites. Led Zeppelin, one of my favorite bands of all time. And having seen your show before, I can't wait to see it again at SPAC on Sunday night. And wish you all the best of luck. And good luck with your show tonight in Tennessee there. And we'll see you in a few days. Yeah,
looking forward to it. And looking forward to it too. A beautiful part of the world. Yeah, I can't wait. I just hope the storm doesn't hit home too much, so I can focus on the show.
Yeah, good luck. I hope everything's fine there.
Exactly. Yeah. This time I bought a regenerator, so hopefully everything's good.
There you go. Board up and hunker down, right?
Yeah. Thank you,
Jason. A pleasure talking to you. You have a great night.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.